After adding Caleb Burton over the weekend, I expect 2 more wide receivers to join Hugh Freeze's roster.
Freezing temperatures are likely for several hours inland and a few hours closer to the coast.
Yes.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Happy Charlie Tuesday to all who celebrate, as we are joined by Auburn message board legend, the Charlie 5. It's been a crazy few days since we last spoke. Auburn adds a new quarterback. Auburn adds a new wide receiver. And we are both kind of in the mindset that Auburn will add 2 more wide receivers via the transfer portal, probably in the next week to 10 days, Charlie 5.
Maybe sooner. Like they could, who knows? It could pop while we're recording this. So it's kind of seemed the way things have gone so far. So great weekend. Peyton Thorne seems like the best case scenario after, you had the whole Grayson McCall debacle. You didn't have to reach on anybody. You kind of just sat back, and then you got one of the best available quarterbacks probably of the whole portal season. I couldn't be happier. And then, you add Caleb Burton. I'll take walk-ons from Ohio State. I don't care. I don't care who they are. I don't care who walk-on wide receivers from Ohio State. They're all good. They all can play. I think he battled some injuries, which is one of the reasons he didn't see the field. So getting him in, I don't want to go straight to the Jamison Williams comparison, but
but why not? Right?
But why not? Why not? I mean, similar size, not very heralded at Ohio State, but maybe just needs a chance to break out. So
got to breathe the same air as Marvin Harrison Jr. and Smith and Jigba. Why not?
Oh yeah.
Why not?
Shared showers, all that good stuff.
Yeah, whatever. That's cool. Whatever it takes to be great. I'm all about it. So we both think that 2 more guys are coming. Jyaire Shorter, the wide receiver from North Texas, and the best name in the transfer portal, Montana Lemonious-Craig, the former Colorado wide receiver. A lot of smoke about both of those guys as far as them going to Auburn. And just when you didn't think you could get any more receivers, all of a sudden that room gets even more full, assuming those 2 guys kind of fall in line and join Hugh Freeze's roster.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm really high on both of these kids.
Sure.
I think it's amazing when you actually look at Shorter stats, like how absurd they actually are to have a touchdown almost every other reception.
Yeah.
And he's the size, man. He's only 6'2", but I swear he's 5 feet of it his arms. I mean, he has the longest arms, and it could be the way. I don't know.
They're thick too. I mean, it's not like they're just long, like lanky things. There's some meat on them. Yeah, 6'2", 218. Very similar build to Laquan Treadwell, which of course Hugh Freeze coached at Ole Miss. You had an interesting comparison for him that I don't know if I'm fully on board yet, but I hope you're correct.
To me, he looks to me a lot of his film and like the style that he plays looks a lot like Des Bryant. They're almost the exact same size. They have very similar, like I feel like Des is another guy who's 6'2", but he has really long arms. When they run, they kind of look the same. He may not be quite as like aggressive and explosive as Des Bryant, but there's a lot of things about the way he'll run a slant over the middle or things like that look a lot like Des Bryant to me.
I love that. Maybe in 10 years, there'll be a Jyaire caught it meme.
There you go. You go.
Who knows?
And then to me, Lemonious-Craig reminds me a lot of like a Ben Obumanu, that type of body type, that style wide receiver.
That's a great comp. That's an outstanding one.
He doesn't have a ton of like his stats. I mean, his stats don't just wow you, but you know what else doesn't wow you? Colorado's offensive stats in general.
They were terrible
last year. Their leading receiver was Jordan Tyson, and he only had barely over 100 yards more receiving than I'm just going to call him MLC. But some of the catches he made were incredible. Like there's one highlight where he made a catch in the back of an end zone, drug a foot that I haven't seen an Auburn receiver make a catch like that, and I can't even remember how long. So I think you as far as the stage we're at in the portal, being able to assess everything you got after winter workouts, after spring, to go get these three guys. I mean, I don't know how much more we could ask. You flip your wide receiver room, you add great competition. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Assuming you add these two guys, all three of them, the transfers during this period would do different things, right?
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
you've got Burton, who's going to be more of your Y guy, your Javarius Johnson clone. I think those two guys both have a role at some point, maybe interchangeably, but maybe both of them on the same field at the same time. If you go 4 wide, that's fun to talk about and think about. Jyaire Shorter is probably your guy opposite Camden Brown, and then Lemonious-Craig. Maybe release Camden Brown some. I mean, that's kind of the way I see it, as far as if you're going to kind of pigeonhole these guys into specific roles and specific positions, with the limited information that we have about this Philip Montgomery / Hugh Freeze style offense. But I'm for all of it. Yes. The interesting thing about this, Charlie 5, is they didn't really process a ton of these wide receivers. Landon King chose to leave. And Tarvaris Dawson seemed like that was a mutual thing. But a lot of these dudes that we're still talking about, like, okay, well, there's upside here. They just maybe haven't figured it out yet. Your Amari Kellys, your Jay Fairs, your Coy Moores. I mean, there's still a lot of talent in this room. They just haven't put it all together. But, man, if you bring these guys in, it either forces those guys to compete for playing time, or maybe it gives them a year or two to kind of sit behind some of these dudes and learn and then take that next step. It's going to give Hugh Freeze and then wide receivers coach Marcus Davis and offensive coordinator Philip Montgomery more time and more options to put the best talent on the field. And I think that's a great situation to be in.
Well, I mean, if we're just all being completely honest,
let's be completely honest. Do it.
You have Cam Brown, who's the only person we've heard anything positive about from the receiver room all spring. And that's it. That's literally it. And then you possibly could add Burton, and you possibly could add, 2 more guys that have experience. I mean, it just, you really didn't have a choice. You really didn't have a choice. And now you got a bunch of dudes that can just go duke it out and let the best man win. So, and I think it's, the cream will rise to the top. I hate to use continually catchphrases, but I mean, it just is what it is. We're gonna battle it out, and we're gonna see what happens. I love that. I saw that receivers were reporting back early. I think all the receivers are reporting back around May 16th or May 17th, which is around the first day of class. So they're getting here early to get back with Thorne to be throwing at the beginning of summer and working that chemistry. So. Want these last two, maybe you can get these last 2 guys in where they can get here as well, and then just continue that bond and that competition all summer.
Is Auburn able to have success at wide receiver in the transfer portal if Peyton Thorne is not committed?
It's hard.
And now signed.
I would say, I would say yes. It would be very hard. I mean, I like the guys we have on the roster, but I mean, it's just the production's not there. The production's not there. The accuracy's not there that can build the confidence in these guys that can, hey, I can leave this situation and come shine here. I mean, who's going to be throwing me the ball? That's a huge thing. And you got a 2-year starter who's a record holder at the previous school he left. It has to be much more enticing to come play with.
All right. As we record this late Tuesday night, it appears that Auburn has another transfer. Let's pick at this in just a moment, right here on Locked On Auburn. Charlie 5, do you know where you can go to wager on anything?
Anything? Where's that?
FanDuel, America's #1 sports book.
Anything? I didn't think you could wager on Alabama baseball there. False advertising.
They need to send us updated copy where it's like, don't say everything anymore. Say almost anything, because Alabama ruins it for everybody. No, that is a great point, Charlie 5. I respect your astute observation there. But odds are you weren't doing that anyway. That's why I was suspicious to begin with. But if you want to bet on anything other than Alabama baseball, or I guess Iowa or Iowa State baseball, they've got some stuff heating up there too. Weird stuff happening all over the country. Yeah. Whatever. But if you want to head over, to FanDuel.com/lockedon, you get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA and the Locked On Podcast Network. Charlie 5, it appears that Auburn has added another member to this transfer portal class. But, man, we just haven't really figured out this timing thing. Maybe it's strategic. I don't really see the logic behind the strategy of it.
It's terrible for podcasting.
Yeah, because it's like, when's it going to – and then it's like, they're not going to commit after 8 o'clock at night, right? Like, surely not. But, yeah, Auburn's offensive line coach kind of putting it out there on the interwebs that put his bat signal out there that there is a commit that is coming, which is very, very exciting. Jake Thorne, the offensive line coach, he tweets out WDE with 3 eagle emojis and then 3 like whirlpool two whirlpool emojis.
Here's what I had a buddy who had a very astute observation here. It's 2 hurricane symbols, Tulsa Hurricanes, and it's the second Tulsa Hurricane commit. That was his philosophy there.
Tulsa's not the Hurricanes though,
aren't they?
Aren't they like the Green Wave?
No, that's Tulane. Why do you keep doing this?
Why do I keep doing that?
Why do you keep there the Golden Hurricanes, man? Tulsa. Gosh,
thank you. I'm glad I was with you when you did that, because
3 states away.
You always call me out like, why do you mix up Tulane and Tulsa? I don't know. So all signs point to this being Jaden Muskrat, which was one of the guys that we wanted the most in the portal. As far as offensive lineman goes, I only wanted Emmanuel Pregnon Moore, the guard from Wyoming, who got a payday and went to USC. Good for him. And so Jaden Muskrat, it appears, will be the newest addition to this Auburn portal class.
Hopefully. We're just guessing at this point. This whole podcast so far is speculation. Take it for what it's worth. We have to get the timing down. Okay, look, I get it. I'm a big like a big backer of the phrase "let it happen." But dadgummit, like, if you put it out there, like, let's roll. Like, give us, like, I'll give you an hour. Like, an hour. Otherwise, let's just wait. Because then now
let the kid do it at that point. Yeah. But I think this is proof that just like us, this coaching staff's booging too. I think that's all that this is.
They can't wait.
Jake Thornton booging on a Monday night. Good for you, coach. Good for you. You added another Tulsa, not Tulane, offensive lineman. Assuming it's Jaden Muskrat, I think it's great. You bring him in, let him compete for one of the guard spots. Or if he doesn't get that, you let him be the 3rd offensive tackle on this team. And when Gunnar Britton gets drafted into the NFL after the season and runs out of eligibility, he starts next year. And you kind of hope Dylan waits 6th round for another season. I think that's the plan at offensive tackle right now, assuming it's Muskrat.
Great. He will be a great add this late in the portal season. One of the first offers we had when the portal opened. Really thought Arkansas had the upper hand here. He's from Arkansas, the home state. That was all the momentum. And then this tweet goes out. And again, hoping it's signaling Jaden Muskrat, because that's going to be, I feel like that'd be a huge addition. Otherwise, we're going to have to delete this podcast and do it all over again.
No, it's all speculatory. We're fine with it. We just talked about how we're probably getting 2 receivers too. Whatever.
That's true.
Whatever. We're just booging on a Monday night with Coach
Booging hard.
Nothing wrong with that. Haven't really talked to you since Auburn has added Peyton Thorne. General thoughts on the addition. What does this do for the roster and for your expectations for this season?
I mean, I feel like he's worth at least 2.5 wins. I really think he's that
2.5 more wins?
2.5 more wins and probably where we were. I would say 2.5 because I'm thinking, you're a play away from possibly you could be a play or whatever away from maybe 9 wins. I was looking at 6 wins.
Okay.
6-ish wins without him. I think this guy brings you at least 2 wins, a couple of plays away from being 9 wins. So that's exciting. We have a stable of running backs, and Ferg's stat blew me away where he said that like when you run for 150 yards, he's like unbeatable. So I feel like we'll be able to do that. I feel like we have the opportunity to do that. We got with the offensive line rebuilt, the stable in the backfield that we have, and now the threat to be able to push the ball down the field accurately.
Yeah.
We went from like a dire outlook in my opinion on offense to like there's so many. I feel like there's a lot more weapons now, and it makes a guy like I feel like all these additions help a guy like Rivaldo Fairweather be able to shine. Like you got actual threats and stuff like that could materialize on the outside and things like that. It's just it's a lot more exciting to think about offensive football moving forward from this point forward.
Because you trust the play calling at this point. I mean, we said the same thing 2 years ago. Like we were so excited about, what Harsin and Bobo, which is it's a weird sentence to say again, but we were excited about what they were going to bring. Right. So still just kind of tempering expectations. But the argument against this is like, they've done it. Like you have seen Hugh Freeze have success with quarterbacks
at every level. Yeah. Everywhere he's ever been.
That's right. That's right. And so I'm excited. And I also think just the effort as far as like equipping the quarterback with as much protection and as much talent as they possibly can too is something that you couldn't have said 2 years ago. So that's certainly part of it. That's certainly part of it as well. You talked about this. He's flipped the roster, specifically the offense. It's pretty remarkable. Let's touch on that in just a moment. Something that I don't think we've ever really seen before. All that coming up right here on Locked On Auburn. I want to encourage you to join the Locked On Auburn Discord. It is free. All you have to do is click the link in the episode description down below. Charlie 5, we're looking at a situation where the offense now may have 7 or 8 new starters. Especially if they're able to go out and get the receivers that we talked about in this show. If Muskrat could win one of the guard spots, all of a sudden it's like, dang, 4 of the 5 offensive linemen, weren't on the roster 6 months ago. That's pretty remarkable. And then, we'll see what happens with the receiver. I think Camden Brown's a starter, but after that, it's like, I don't know. Nick Martin was a staple on the other side. And then you got to think if they bring in 3 receivers, potentially 3 receivers in this transfer window, and the new quarterback, you're looking at Camden Brown, an offensive lineman, maybe 2, and a running back are the only returning starters. And, I'm calling Jarquez Hunter a starter because of the role that he played last year. And of course, Rivaldo Fairweather being a part of that too.
How about you're saying returning starters? How about just returning teammates for returning from the roster from 2022? Like not only could you have 7 to 9 new starters on offense, you could have 7 to 9 new starters that were not a part of this school last year. Like having to completely go out and rebuild your whole offense. And that's one thing that frustrated me so much about the last tenure is that the ability to rebuild a roster now, it does not have to be the 3 and 4 year builds. Like if you actually go out and try, there's players out there that you can. Now we still have to see how they will perform on the field, but with the effort to go out and find them, like you can flip your roster so much quicker. It helps Auburn. It helps schools like Auburn so very much. Now you can't rely on. I don't think you can rely on 15 portal guys every year, but like you can fill some holes now and slowly build your high school, your high school recruiting and maybe wean yourself down to where it's only, maybe 5 or 6 a year where you're plugging deficiency. So, I'm just it's wild how many do how
Muskrat
different.
just announced. We got that right. Thank goodness.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
That timing wasn't terrible.
That.
Okay. I take everything back. That timing was not that bad. It was only like an hour and a half. So that was not that bad. That's the best one. So good job, Jake Thornton.
Yeah.
You
Coach
timed
Thornton,
it perfect.
I've always thought his timing was great. You know what I mean?
Timing's perfect. How about that? Oh man, that's great. That is great. We have some outstanding names. That's another thing. There are some outstanding names that could possibly be joining this team. When you got Muskrat, Rivaldo,
sure,
and then maybe Lemonious-Craig. I mean,
that one's in a league of its own.
I mean, we have some elite named children coming into this program, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So Muskrat.
Can you imagine how frustrating this offseason? And I guess we wouldn't know any better. But it's like if the portal wasn't around, and like how long this rebuild would take, and it's like all of a sudden, it's like you can do this in 2 seasons. Like you can totally do without like having some kind of crazy USC thing where they go and get a Heisman winner to transfer to them, but like actual like real solid pieces coming like consistently. I mean, it's just the amount of starters that they've gone out and gotten is pretty crazy. It's pretty remarkable. I mean, all of these guys are going to be starters with the exception of, I mean, Muskrat may not be, and then like Bad T may not be, but he's going to start in the return game, you think?
Right.
And I kind of wonder if they take him, if they I think Hugh didn't realize how good Damari was, and he talked about that. I kind of wonder if they take Bad T, if he would have known how good Damari Austin was going to be. Doesn't really matter because you still want a special team acumen, but still, it's just amazing all of these dudes and like the roles that they're going to play. It's so fun.
Exactly. It is a lot of fun. Now, some of it is we had a lot of holes that needed to be filled. So it's like addition by addition. At that point in time, they say addition by subtraction. It was just addition by default. Because we didn't really have.
You know what I think they actually call that? I think they just call it addition at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Addition is exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to be able to upgrade all across the board, and I mean, what more could you ask for right now? Now it's just like you just got to see the results.
What more could we ask for? Jyaire Shorter,
yes,
and Lemonious-Craig. Yeah, Montana Lemonious-Craig. I think you asked for those 2 guys. And then, like, I'm ready to roll. Like, you'll have some scholarships left over. I'm curious to see if he just settles for anybody and kind of throw some Hail Marys out there. He's like, hey, you want to come over here?
I'm curious. Maybe you put the full court press on the North Texas middle linebacker who had that beautiful 1-to-1 tackle to assisted tackle ratio.
Sure.
Or, the pass rusher from James Madison. Because I think it's between like us, Ole Miss, and Missouri on that one. Maybe you press hard and then
Ole Miss really wants Ukwu, which makes me want him more.
Yeah, for sure.
Because then the headline's going to be Lane Kiffin takes Ukwu from Hugh Freeze.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
Get over yourself. Exactly. All right, let's take a second now that that's official with the Muskrat stuff. Do you think, which I guess you do commit publicly after 8:00 at night? Whatever. Cool. On a Monday. Muskrat don't care. Care. Good for him.
Mondays are for booging. How about that?
Do you think he starts?
So,
or is he a backup tackle?
I think he may be. Gosh, I don't know. Is he your 6th guy? Or is he?
I think he's your first guy that's a tackle, and Connor Lou's going to be your first guy that's interior. I think that's kind of going to be what it looks like. So I think both of those guys will be like the next guy up. He's wearing 79 in his graphic. We okay with that?
Why wouldn't we be? I don't know. I like it.
Just asking the question. I just ask questions here. That's it.
I don't dislike 79.
That's it. Okay. Cool.
He is he's a happy boy in his picture. I know that.
He seems happy to be here, which is very, very fun. So
6'3", 307. That just doesn't seem like. I mean, is that tackle? I mean, Dylan's not very tall either, but maybe they want these smaller athletic guys.
I think 6'3", 300. You could do whatever you want with them.
Versatile.
That's a good size. That's a good size for sure. So, and he's a former defensive lineman too, and kind of flipped over sides of the ball. So, I mean,
I just love the timing that we have here. Thornton tweeted out that he was going to commit, and then like just shortly after that, he announces. I mean, the timing that they've had on these things has been absolutely beautiful. The way this has worked out. Do you agree? I mean, do you agree? Am I crazy, or do you? You know what I mean? Like it's just like most schools don't have the synchronization skills that we have when we do stuff like this. I mean, I don't know. I think it's beautiful.
Curious to see how this show is received on a Charlie Tuesday.
I'm so happy that happened during the show.
Me too. I am too. I'm also glad it was Muskrat.
Yeah.
So, all right, I guess we're done. Charlie 5, how can people give you love, brother?
Absolutely. Find me on Twitter at @the_Charlie_5, in the Locked On Auburn Discord, auburnlive.com, the corner message board, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday on the Dad Bod Golf Pod.
You can follow me on socials at Z Blackerby. Read all my written work at auburndaily.com, and we will see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn.